Hey everyone, it's Monday, which means we're back, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how your day is going. I'm joined by Alex Navarro.
Hi.
Wow, you're peppy this morning.
Yeah, I got iced coffee. It's keeping me going right now.
Have you officially made the transition to iced coffee? I don't like iced coffee, but also don't like drinking warm things in the summer, but it's
I've
a
made the
weird.
full I have made the full transition. My girlfriend started drinking it nonstop during the hot months. I used to think it was super weird, and then I started drinking it, and I was like, now she makes it, and then she also makes simple syrup, which literally is just like boiled down sugar, and then puts that into a bottle. So it's like I can sweeten it correctly. It all works together in a way, and I've developed a taste for it. I'm very much into it now.
All right, and we are also joined this morning by Lord of the Rings expert and Polygon editor Alexa Ray Corriea.
Hey guys.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You set some high expectations after that Lord of the Rings mythology dump on the E3 live show.
Oh my God, it was a total accident, but now I'm kind of glad that I was able to share that with everyone. That random bit of lore that will just make Shadow of Mordor all that more meaningful.
So it's safe to say that was your game of the show?
Oh yeah, it was definitely my game of the show. It's also the one that I probably spent the most time playing, considering, the E3 gauntlet. You sort of get shuffled in and out of demos. You get 20 minutes, 5 minutes. So yeah, definitely game of the
How
show.
long did you actually play it for?
Oh God, for almost 2 hours.
Holy, that's not. That seems like that's illegal in the E3 bylaws.
Maybe it was. I don't know. I know a bunch of people there, and I had this chunk of time on the last day, and I was like, oh, I would really, or the second to last day, and I really wanted to go play it because the next day I was interviewing the designer Michael DePlatter on our live show, so I was like, I have to go play this game, so I'm not going in and being like, tell me about this game I never played and probably can't talk about. And I just sort of went in, and they brought me a coffee, and I sort of sat in the corner at the computer and the PlayStation 4 and the far right, and just had 2 hours to just sort of crank through it, and it was really
Did you have
nice.
AC? Was it comfortable?
Oh yeah, there was it was in like a box in one of those the press demos. There were maybe 12 PlayStation 4 set up, and it was just air conditioning, and I was sitting under a vent, so I had cold air, and it was
I was
just very
I was in
relaxing.
that room too. It was very nice. It was very nice in there.
It was a nice
Wow.
room. Good
Why
job,
would
Warner
you? Why
Brothers.
would you ever leave?
I had another appointment. I had to go play Harvest
Oh
Moon.
right. Oh right. You don't want to get fired from your job. Okay.
Right.
I had to leave because E3 ended and the day was
Oh,
over, and I therefore had to go out for that day because no one was going to let us stay there past the E3 closing time. It was like, but it's so nice in here. Please don't make me go. And then they
Don't
made
send
me
me to
go.
Los Angeles.
they're really strict about that. So 5 o'clock, everyone get the F out.
It's the nice part about even though we don't Giant Bomb does not have a presence on the show floor. GameSpot having a presence on the show floor gets us exhibitor badges, so you can not worry about someone they are very aggressive about throwing you out when that show
Oh
floor is
yeah.
over.
Yeah, they're also really weird about getting in. What happened this year? There were fake badges or something, and that's
Yeah, so
why.
suppose I guess I could be getting the numbers wrong, but there was someone just straight up selling hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands, of badges this year, which is why normally when they check IDs, it's just for an hour, just to
Yeah.
sort of scare off, people that maybe bought, a company that maybe bought 4 badges, but are trying to, cycle through getting, a bunch of people in. Plus, they don't. Once you're in the show, no one's going to notice if you don't have a badge on. There's no security checking at that point. But yeah, I guess there was a dude selling hundreds of them for a bunch of money, and
Yeah.
that freaked them out.
What's the black market like for fake E3 badges? Do you get how much do you sell those for, and how do you make them? I'm deeply curious about this.
Well, it used to be pretty simple, back before they had the blacklight, sort of whatever's embedded in the paper that they're printing out, which they didn't used to always have that. I never had to actually do this, but I know people that did do this, where you could basically just reconstruct an E3 badge with some pretty limited supplies, and then if you're able to get in without them doing the blacklight check, then it's really just a piece of paper with a
Yep.
Jeez.
With a
thing.
barcode on it that may or may not be useful.
God.
Yeah. Maybe you could just fake the barcode. Like I don't know. I haven't gotten in deep into the E3 corruption scene, but maybe that'll be my next expose.
Back in my day, when you wanted to falsify your way into E3, you went to a friend who worked at a video game company and just said, "Hey, get me a badge," and then they would do that.
I know people that did that this year. It's like, oh, my friend works at Capcom and just got me a badge, and I'm just gonna play games all day. Why are you all complaining? And I'm like, you don't have appointments and stuff.
You're the reason I can't just go on the show floor and ever play anything ever because of people like you. God damn it.
Although you could basically do that this year. The lines were not too bad. Yeah.
Yeah. The Nintendo
was still pretty thick.
Yeah.
So Alex, what did you get up to any video game business this weekend?
I did. I spent a bunch of time on Friday and Saturday going through my old Nintendo and Super Nintendo collections to verify that all the game cartridges I have still work because I got that Retron 5.
What's it with the Retron 5? Is that's what it's called?
Yeah. So I've been messing around with that. I have yet to update the firmware, so I need to do that and make sure some of the games that don't work do actually work with new firmware or not. But I spent several hours with that system this weekend, and by and large, I think it's pretty cool. I've mostly been using.
Does it come with its own controller?
It does. It does come with its own controller. I will show you.
That seems potentially a bad thing.
Yeah. So this is the controller it comes with. It's all right. It's not great. It's not great, but it has ports for all the systems, the regular system controllers on there. So after a while, I switched to the regular ones that I have, and that was obviously a far better experience. But the one it comes with is not the worst thing in the world. It's just not something I would recommend to anyone. It's just there. But so yeah, I spent basically most of my weekend just going through those games, trying to make sure everything I have still works. I have like 45 damn cartridges just floating around here, and almost all of them worked. I was pretty excited and pretty surprised by that. However, there are a few real heartbreakers here that I really hope just work with the next firmware update, because this copy of Paperboy does not work at all anymore. This copy of Technobowl sort of works, but like the graphics are all fucked up, and I bought this at a flea market for like 50 cents, so I'm probably not surprised actually this doesn't work.
It's hard to tell who to blame that on.
Yeah, this copy of Kung Fu I think just got overused and is just kind of broken at this point. And there's this game Tiger Heli.
I don't know what that game is.
You play a helicopter.
Okay. Is there a tiger on it?
No.
Is it it's not a helicopter tiger?
No, it's a tiger helicopter, actually,
Tiger
which
helicopter.
is they can't say that because I think that's actually a branded thing. So Tiger Heli. You play a helicopter. Yeah. So that's
real bummer.
Everything else worked though, and I was excited about that. So.
And like no sense of input lag or anything like that. You were able to just play the games how you wanted to play them.
Yeah, I didn't get much of that from anything. The controller support seemed to work just fine. I didn't notice any, there's all these different filters, and, you can make sure scan lines are turned on or off if that's the kind of, really specific shit you're into. I just left everything at its default, and everything seemed to work pretty much flawlessly. Those games obviously are not meant to be blown up on HD TVs, but with all the different aspect ratio and screen stretching shit you can do with it, everything looked normal. Everything looked like you would kind of want those games to look like and played like you would kind of want to play them. So far, I would say my experience with the Retron 5 has been very much positive. I will continue to mess with it over time. It is something we bought for the New York office, so I imagine we will probably be doing some streams with that thing at some point, but that probably will require us to actually get our studio all finished, and that's going to take at least another week. So.
Okay, so $200. So that's okay. That's a little more than I thought, but it plays all those different machines, so I guess
is it 200?
That's what the random Amazon listing says.
That doesn't seem right. I don't think that's what I paid for that when I bought it.
When did you buy it?
I bought it last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we went down to Video Games New York and bought a bunch of consoles, and they had them in the back. So, and we're like, do you just want to buy one of these? We're having a launch party this weekend, and you can just buy one now if you want. So I did.
Wow.
Oh, is it not actually officially out yet?
I think it is out for people who pre-order or whatever, but I guess that they just weren't selling them in the store yet. So.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, $140.
There we go.
$150.
That sounds more correct.
I don't know. Maybe the chat's making up numbers. I don't trust the chat.
$700.
Did you play anything else?
That was kind of my video game weekend. I went to the movies. I saw a movie I think you should look out for called Coherence. I know you like weird sci-fi kind of fucked up stuff, and I think you will enjoy this. It's not horror at all.
I watched the trailer for that last night.
Yeah. It's a very Shane Carruth-like kind of movie. Just bizarre, kind of heady sci-fi stuff, but done on a very small scale, low budget kind of thing. Far more successful than I anticipated it being. Far more interesting. That is a movie I think you should go see, and we can talk about it. I'm not going to talk about it until you do, though. So.
Yeah, seems like it's not a movie you're going to see for the action. So. No.
There is no action.
Everything that was described to me about the movie, I guess that I was reading about it, was that it's like an intricate puzzle piece. You know, it's a lot of little things happening, and then it all adds up to a nice little revelation at the end.
Yes.
Alexa, what have you gotten up to in the world of video games recently?
So I had sort of a really strange weekend. I had to move my roommate out on Saturday morning because it's a super long story. We thought we were getting evicted.
But you're not?
No, it was so my actual roommate is gone, and one of my friends was subletting, and it turns out that she didn't tell the management that there was a subletter, and there was sort of this big kerfluffle, and we had to move her out Saturday. So I drowned my sorrows in Mario Kart 8 for about 12 hours.
Wow.
That's a good way to do that. That's a really good way.
Yeah, I just picked it up. I didn't get a chance to pick it up prior to E3, so I was like, all right, I'll play it after while I'm winding down, post E3, whatever. And ended up spending almost all of Saturday with Mario Kart with you, and it's really weird because I feel like with previous, and this might just be me, but with previous Mario Karts, I feel like it was harder to unlock stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like this one, it's oh, I completed Mushroom Cup on 50cc and got no stars. You unlocked a character. You should be making me work for it. I feel like I should have to work for it,
I feel like at least part of that is because there's so much stuff to unlock in that game that they sort of had to lower the barrier a little bit to make sure they could get it all. Because, I mean, a lot of it is just car parts, but there are a decent number of characters to unlock, too. But there's so goddamn many car parts to unlock in that game that they kind of had to spread it out a little bit, I think.
Have you guys found when you play that game? I'm actually picking up a copy of it this week, and I'm going to have a bunch of people over to play it. I fear that all the part stuff, does that make it too complicated for people that just want to play Mario Kart but have not necessarily been, following the evolution of the series, which now includes, a layer of customization? They just want to play as Bowser and just want to move on with it.
I mean, I don't think so. I use the same bike and the same wheel for everyone. It's it's okay.
A lot of the differences are pretty subtle. So you'll end up with a bunch of different tires and a bunch of different bodies that are kind of the same settings. It really just depends more on which character you pick and what you pair them with. You could just drive with the default kart and options all the livelong day if you really want to, and probably be fine. The customization stuff is just for the people who want to noodle with that stuff. I have 2 carts and wheel combinations that I kind of use for everything. I don't really mess around too much anymore because a lot of that stuff just seems kind of useless to me.
Yeah, I didn't have a good sense of whether the customization actually leads to the edge you get to win. Is that purely for sort of higher end play with a bunch of people that really know very specifically what kind of Mario Kart they want to kart around with? If you could just get away with the default stuff, that it just seems like it started edging into, just from the outside, a complexity I didn't necessarily associate with Mario Kart.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's there. It can be complicated, but I would say that it's for most people, it's just not even going to matter. It's just oh, I unlocked another thing. Hey, this car is cute. It looks like a blue teddy bear. I'm just going to drive this from now on. And that's not a bad way to go. Honestly, that's fine.
Yeah.
Alexa, if you had to pick a Mario Kart, pick a Mario Kart.
Oh no, Double Dash.
Wow, controversial choice. I like it.
Xavier Woods. Wow. All right.
I really liked Double Dash. I thought it was really challenging and sort of different. I don't know. I really like the way that whole, like, you have the two people and you swap it. I really like Double Dash.
See, I feel like you're playing in my wheelhouse right now, which is like I don't have a strong opinion one way or the other on Double Dash because I just didn't. That's like one of the ones I skipped just because I just don't feel like Mario Kart right now. But I definitely like this fuels a little bit of what I like about games like, let's say, Majora's Mask, which is I'm okay with an entry in the series that decides to defy the conventions a little bit and ends up pissing off the fans in the process, because I think it sort of defines the weird, I've talked about this before, the contradictory nature of Nintendo in which they're asked to do stuff completely new while also doing all the old stuff at the same time.
Yep.
And Double Dash and I think Majora's Mask are both sort of games that like fit within Nintendo trying to do that and just really pissing off a lot of people at the same time, but also then instilling a deep love in the people that sort of found that sequel in that series to be something that really appealed to them.
Yeah, I just like that it's like the black sheep. It's the weird one of like the whole series, and people don't really think about it. So like, why not?
Yeah.
See? I'm into that.
I don't know.
Y'all Double Dash haters.
It's a variation on a theme, sure. I guess. I don't know. The two character thing drove me crazy, and the vocal stuff like that happens every time you switch characters, like that became sort of.
Oh, that's so fun. That's the best part. The more annoying noises in a Nintendo game, the better.
Oh, then you must be a huge fan of Yoshi's Island.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you're on the right side of the Yoshi's Island debate. Good to know. All right.
On the right side of history, I think is what they call it.
Yeah. That's a good game. I don't know about the new one, though. Did you get a chance to play Woolly World at E3?
I did, yeah. I played
bit,
maybe 20 minutes or so. It was probably the game I spent the most amount of time with at a Nintendo's booth. And it definitely feels more inspired than the 3DS one, which I didn't think was a bad game, but was a pretty boring game. It felt a little more like checkbox design in terms of producing a new Yoshi's Island sort of type game, which is like, oh, it's got the eggs and it's got this art style that's kind of wacky and this other stuff. It really didn't feel like the team that made that was super psyched about making a new Yoshi's Island game. It felt like they'd been told, hey, go make a new Yoshi's Island game. And I've started to feel a little bit like I'm getting into a Yoshi cycle the same way there's a Sonic cycle.
A Yoshi cycle. Oh, did you just compare Yoshi to Sonic?
No, a little bit. A little bit. I think I'll be fully in it if this new Yoshi is bad and then I get excited about another Yoshi. I think I've got at least one full game in me before Yoshi fans like myself need to, have like a deep, long, like hard look in the mirror about getting excited about a new Yoshi game. But the new one, like I love the new art style. At least that's part of what I am excited about is that yes, they're retaining some of the elements of a Yoshi's Island game, but aren't necessarily feeling beholden to everything that came before. And I think the art style is like this huge part of what defines Yoshi's Island, but I think you can also kind of get lost in the woods about, what is and isn't, what made those games, rather than just go make a good game, and then it happens to star Yoshi, and that'll be just fine with me.
Yeah. Well, poor Yoshi. I'm really sad that Yoshi and Sonic were mentioned in the same sentence just now. Like, that breaks my heart a little bit.
Yeah, mine too. And, like, I don't even like Yoshi that much. It's like Yoshi's Island is a good game, but, like, the character doesn't necessarily hold a lot of appeal to me. But even I think that's too much, man. It's too far.
When they announced the new Sonic with the scarf, it was just like, Alex, we were sitting next to each other at the freaking reveal event.
We kept looking at each other, just like kind of side-eyeing each other, just like, is this really happening? Are they really this excited about these minor ass character changes? Are they really referencing Adventure Time when they're showing this horrible fucking clip from the show?
And they were like, he wears a scarf and athletic tape because he's an adventurer now, and it was just like, no.
God. Yeah, everyone who was at that event, I think, had the same sort of like shared experience of just like, I can't believe we are here right now watching this happen. This is depressing on so many levels. It's like we went through a trauma together, and now we have to like meet at a church once a week, just and have some shitty coffee and talk about our feelings because holy shit, we are not past this yet.
No, We definitely aren't, and it's just sort of, I don't know. I played the game, so I played it at E3, and it's a Sonic game.
What does that mean? Break that down. What is you can't just you're not allowed to get away with just it's a Sonic game.
So it's really like boring. Like I understand that they're trying you have it's just boring. It's like we're gonna go fast in a 3D environment, and you're gonna have friends. And then there's sections with it's like open combat. Like you go in an area as like Knuckles, who is now like, they described Knuckles to me as the tank character.
I don't like that at all.
Yeah, so steroid Knuckles is just like in an area, and you like actually like fight things. Like it's freeform combat. I was in an area. I was playing 2-player with someone who I hope is not watching this stream, and like. He was Sonic and I was Amy, and like you just run around and you randomly hit things. Like it's open combat, and then you go fast, and then they're trying to make like an action RPG out of Sonic, and like that ship sailed in 2006 when he made out with a human girl. Like that's over. You can no longer do like a story-based Sonic game.
And also BioWare tried, and it didn't even really work with BioWare trying. Yeah. So at that point, you've thrown one of the premier RPG developers in gaming's history at it, and then kind of went, eh. So yeah. I don't like. You gave it a shot, Sega. You got to move on. You got to make 10 more Aliens games before you get to make another Sonic game with a story. That's how the punch card works.
They should make an Alien game. No, they shouldn't. I'm not going to say that out loud. You know the thought I was gonna say, and I'm not going to say it. An Alien game starring Sonic.
Just feed Sonic to
Sonic
the
is the
franchise.
alien. Sonic is the alien. You turn the corner, and there he is. That would be horrifying. I would absolutely be horrified by a first-person survival horror game in which Sonic the Hedgehog is the thing that is stalking you. Like, I would like jump scares, like dogs through the window scared. I would.
Oh God! Like his head, like that weird Sonic head, just sort of lulls back. The mouth opens, and then a tiny Sonic head comes out. Oh no!
Yeah.
No.
Or, like, every time you encounter him, he's a different gotta go fast meme. Like one is the one walking on the butt, and the other one is like dumb running Sonic or something. Yeah, no. I would absolutely play that game. That would be terrifying.
I mean, it's how the xenomorph works, right? I mean, that's how you get all those weird permutations of like the dog alien in like Alien 3 and stuff. Is it adopts what it eats? So we just need to get that xenomorph to eat a blue hedgehog, and we're in business.
I think that's a valid business strategy too. Like Sega should totally look into that.
Or worst case, or best case, when Alien Isolation comes out, someone's just got to mod it.
Oh,
just
someone
put in Sonic. Like get on the ground floor right now. Start looking at that xenomorph model. Get into 3ds Max. Do people even still use that? That's like the only modeling software I know off the top of my head. Go into SpeedTree and start figuring out how exactly we're gonna get Xenomorph Sonic.
This has to happen now. I'm thinking about it. This has to happen. Someone can make so much money.
Sonic as alien shit on DeviantArt, because of course there fucking is. Why wouldn't there be?
Stop. Really?
All these. I don't like any of these links.
No, wait. It's not that, but it's definitely some creepy ass fucking Sonic fan art. Are we still going to be talking about Sonic in like 50 years? Like, is this a franchise that Sega is still going to be trying to revitalize? Like, when our grandkids are like floating around, it's like, we've made a new Sonic for like 4 generations from when anyone cared about Sonic, and here it is. Now the scarf has a scarf. I don't know. Like, when does Sonic die? When does that happen?
The end of Sonic. They should do like Sonic something like a Hedgehog's end. Like, take a cue from Uncharted and just like go out with a bang.
And he just dies in the most painful, horrible, explodey fashion possible, and that's the end of it, and the franchise is done. God, that would be cathartic, right? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, God, actually it would.
Disturbing.
I'm with Alex.
Disturbing. The death of Sonic. Sega's big 2045 initiative is a cross-media strategy. The death of Sonic will play out over TV, cartoons, video games,
merchandise.
Yeah, however you want to experience the death of Sonic, we're gonna let you do it.
Oh man.
Sonic. It'll be over when they come out with like Sonic Simulator, and it's like you running fast through rings or something.
It's like the death of Sonic: he went too fast.
He ran so fast, he ran into the sun. Oh.
That'd be a good way to die. Then you wouldn't have to show it. I mean, like melting to death seems like it's a violent end, but you could just have a poetic shot going into the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sonic and friends running into the sun.
It's getting a little fanficky at this point, guys.
There is a who found it? I forgot who I was talking to last week, but there is an entire subsection of fanfiction.net dedicated to Sonic crossover fiction with like various things, and the biggest one is Sonic and Naruto, and they're all like Sonic becomes the next ninja master or something like that. I don't know. No more Sonic.
What do you mean? I don't know. You've clearly gone down deeper in this hole than you're willing to admit.
I looked at it. Well, for some reason I keep getting sent to all of the Sonic events and appointments because they keep having them in New York, and I'm in New York, so I keep going to them. And I forgot what we were discussing. I think we were having a discussion of like, do we post this Naruto trailer? Who cares about Naruto and video games? Probably the same people that care about Sonic, which I think is how that conversation got started and how I ended up in a fan fiction hole.
I follow an account on Twitter that's just fanfiction_txt, and it's just like excerpts from stuff on like on whatever major fan fiction sites exist on the internet, and at least a third of them are Sonic related.
That place is the butthole of the internet. There's like a new big fan fiction site, but like fanfiction.net is now basically like 14-year-olds and like stay-at-home parents. I don't know.
14-year-olds.
Nothing wrong with stay-at-home parents, but like latchkey 14-year-olds who really like writing bizarre crossover Sonic fan fiction where he and there was one where there's just an excerpt of, and then another Cuban hedgehog fired an Uzi at Sonic. Like that was a sentence, and that that's a rabbit hole suddenly I want to go deeper in. I want to know what brought this all together. How did those pieces become a thing? Someone thought about it. Someone was so passionate about Sonic fighting Cuban hedgehogs.
Cuban hedgehogs. Cuba has an army of hedgehogs with Uzis, apparently.
Guys, this has to stop.
This does have to stop. I'm getting people are tweeting at me about Sonic now.
Here's the thing, Alexa. There are a lot of buttholes on the internet. I'm sure there's fan fiction. There's a lot of them are fan fiction. Yeah, I
can't wait.
We have to move on to a different topic.
Yeah,
I played Shovel Knight too. Have you played Shovel Knight?
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, I played about 2 or 3 hours of it this weekend, and it's really goddamn great.
Yeah,
it's a really good video game. It's really interesting because, well, this will like add another notch in the Kickstarter belt. This is like a really quality video game that came out of crowdfunding, and I was a little worried when it got like a random 3-month delay from like late March, and then we just didn't really hear anything about the game for a little while. But
yeah,
it sounds like that was mostly just a new studio going through a lot of the processes of getting on a bunch of platforms all at the same time. Nintendo, it seems like they're a few more headaches than the other platform holders in terms of, just getting through their QA process to be on the eShop. But yeah, Shovel Knight is interesting because you look at it and you start, getting like, sort of like dreams of Mega Man games and things like that when you're playing it. But, you have access to some magic that you start acquiring over the course of the game. But your primary way of interacting with the world is, sort of a bash move, and then, jumping up and sort of diving down on guys with your shovel, which means, if we contrast it with, say, like a Mega Man game, like you really need to get really up and close and personal with the environment and the enemies in Shovel Knight, as opposed to like a Mega Man game where you can kind of keep your distance and, you're kind of dodging things from across the screen. In Shovel Knight, you just got to get way up in people and just whack them in the face.
It's so cute. I love the little, the shovel. When they first posted the Kickstarter, I was just like, why has no one yet thought of a game in which, you run around with a shovel, hitting people? Or maybe there was a game like that and I just haven't found it. But I thought it was a really interesting idea. It's like, I don't know, to me, I've been playing the 3DS version. I don't know what platform you've been playing it on.
I've been playing on Wii U.
Okay, how is it on Wii U with the?
It's really nice. It actually uses the gamepad in a really great way. So you've got the game up on on my TV screen, and then on the gamepad screen, it's got all your magic. So I just have to look at that and tap it, and I can change my magic in the middle of a battle, as opposed to what you normally have to do, which is pause and then switch to the different magic items that you have. It's actually super useful. And then when my wife wants to watch TV, you just click a button, and then you've got the game right there on the gamepad.
Yeah, it's sort of the 3DS is kind of the same way. You're like picking it from the bottom screen. It feels like, I don't know, it feels to me sort of like comfort food because it's like new, but it's like not. It's like very much, rather than being like an homage to a classic game, it feels like I'm playing something that's like a little bit older than it actually is.
Yeah, I mean that games can kind of go about that in two ways. You have, if we take, continue with Mega Man, like Mega Man 9 was a game that stuck by and large, like sort of the rules of what was possible, with designing a game, on like that kind of hardware and kind of the visual look. Like it didn't just make, we're gonna make a pixelate, an 8-bit game, and then we're gonna do tricks and things that just weren't possible back then. Like it stayed fairly true to what was possible. Whereas Shovel Knight kind of looks like how you want it's not quite an 8-bit or a 16-bit game. Like it's something sort of in the middle. Like it certainly like it brings about sort of nostalgic memories of art styles of that era, but it's obviously like way more technically competent than any of those machines would have been probably capable of producing.
Yeah, it's nice. Alex, you got to get on it.
Yeah, that's one I've been wanting to play for a while, but like after the sort of information blackout for a while, I kind of forgot about it, and then right around E3 it popped back up, so I need to play it. It's on Wii U, it's on 3DS, and it's on PC. Are those the platforms, right? So it's not on any of the other console stuff yet.
I don't think so. I don't think so.
The Wii U and the 3DS, I believe, were in their stretch goals.
Yeah.
I think those are the only platforms. Maybe.
Just really, it's rare now that you see any sort of game that is, especially one that's like an indie download game that is very specific to Nintendo hardware first. Just because these days, that's kind of not where people tend to focus. But at the same time, it's kind of nice that that's there, because that seems like a game I would totally play on my 3DS when I'm going into work and such. So that might end up being where I end up playing it.
Well, it's one of those games that, like when the codes came over to start playing it a little bit ahead of release, and there was one for the 3DS, the Wii U, and the PC. It's like I could just do the Steam version and like it'd be just fine, but I don't know. There's still something even in this day and age that it's like I want to play this game on a console, like whether it's a handheld or whether it's a dedicated TV console. There's something about if I'm going to play a game like Shovel Knight, if I have the option where I do right there where I can just pick which platform I want to play it on, I wanted to play that game on a console. There's just something about those games.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know. I really like what was I gonna say? I really like packing all that stuff on like my handheld. I travel a lot, and I've sort of been back and forth from like the West Coast a lot the past couple months. So like, I really like being able to have all that with me. There's just something about having it like all tiny and like in your hand. I don't know. I like
I'm definitely with you. Like that's. Although I tend to bring my 3DS downloaded with a bunch of things, and they just never end up taking it out. I always charge it, I got it ready to go, and then it just sits in my bag because I'd reload Twitter on my iPad instead.
It's also not like when you're at E3, for instance, like the last thing you want to do when you go back to your hotel room is start playing more video games.
Or like you got to clear out your street passes. I totally forgot to do that this year, but I roomed with Megan, and every 10 minutes she'd like pull out her 3DS and like, gotta empty my street passes, and we'd be in the fig, so it would like immediately go off with like 10 more.
Yeah, I really wish they would. I mean, the street pass design was made, with Japan in mind. I really wish that, because in America you go from getting 0 street passes or like very few to getting tons of them when you go to like a PAX or an E3 or any sort of gathering of game fans, because just the U.S. doesn't have as much, mass transit is not something that everyone is doing, unlike in Japan, where you can sort of assume that you're going to be getting a steady supply of street passes, so they want to encourage you to open the 3DS. So what ends up happening like E3 is I have this notion that I'm going to open it and check it out all the time, but what I end up doing is not doing that, getting the 10 in like the first 5 minutes of E3, and then just not getting the benefits of the hundreds of people I could have gotten otherwise. Like it would be nice if they would allow you to, acquire up to at least like 50 of them, so I felt like I got something a little more meaningful out of my time.
You think they'd fix that by now? I mean, the handheld's been out for what, like 3 years now? 4?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a technical constraint. I'm not, really sure, how that stuff is like stored in, the machine's RAM or whatever. But it's annoying because it feels like they're not smartly changing that, to reflect, how it works in the different countries because they're pretty different.
I kind of feel like maybe Nintendo has other priorities right now.
Yeah,
Just
okay,
moving
yeah.
on.
Like Super Smash Brothers.
Yeah, and making money somewhere, anywhere. Oh God, please. Those seem like the top things right now. Smash Brothers and Oh God, help us.
That's probably fair. I played a little bit of Watch Dogs over the weekend. Not a game that I was all that excited to jump into, but as the Chicago resident, it feels like it'd be really strange if I didn't play that game. Like I can, even if Watch Dogs is just sort of average, kind of middling, some interesting ideas, peppered throughout. Like I can get through 20 hours of a game if I get to drive through my city for the first time and wreak some havoc. And that's basically all I'm getting. Like, do you ever have those games where when you're playing them, you're having an okay time, and then when you turn it off, you just have like a deep regret for the last 4 hours, and you're not really sure like why you spent that time playing the game, but you didn't feel that way while you were playing it?
Yeah. I've definitely had post regret, but like I've also had early onset regret. Like if you're ever playing, you feel like you're playing a game that everyone's like, oh, this is like the best game ever, and you need to try it. I felt that way about Please Don't Shoot Me, The Last of Us.
Mm-hmm.
I started playing it, and like it took me a while to get into it. Like I didn't become like invested in that game until like 8 hours in, and like right before I hit that like 8-hour mark, I was just kind of like, there's 8 hours of my life that like I'm not gonna get back. And I was playing it, and then when I was done, I was like, why did I do that? I could have like done something else, like gone for a run or something.
So I mean, I played like 6 or 7 hours of Watch Dogs, and I finished like the first act of the game.
There's acts? Is it a play?
Yeah, they actually like straight up split it into. It's 4 acts, so it's weird. You think if you're gonna do acts, that maybe you should just make it 3 acts so you can understand the arc of the story. But nope, I looked it up on like GameFAQs to just see how long it was, and nope, it's 4 acts, which is weird. Just a weird number of acts at that point. Just make it.
That is a weird number of acts.
4 acts now.
Yeah.
Why? Why add that 4th act? Why?
Well, it seems like there's like 3 main acts, and then the 4th is the finale, I guess, if you want to put it that way. But it's
4 acts is objectively more than 3.
You're right. That's true. You're getting more in this, and in Ubisoft open world games, they cram them full of stuff. Like you're getting stuff for your money.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff in AC4. I think that was the last big open world Ubisoft game I played, but like there was just an overwhelming amount of just stuff.
This is the one that I had that regret about. That was when you're talking about the why did I spend time playing this? That's the one right there.
Aww.
People are saying there's 5 acts in Watch Dogs.
5?
What?
That's even more than 4.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Ubisoft really cares about quantity and quality. And they said, why have 4 acts when you can have 5?
That's a lot of acts. 5-act structure.
That game's weird because the character is so terrible. Adrian Pierce is just the most unbelievable main character I have played in a video game in a long, long time. Like I think Shovel Knight has more motivations for doing what he's doing than Adrian Pierce has motivations for doing what he's doing.
But he's a cool guy with a cool hat and a cool collar and has
an iconic hat.
He's a cool guy. He's a cool guy.
But he's not. Guy. No, he's like he's your shitty uncle with a cell phone that constantly is putting your family in danger for no good reason. Like, and they have you playing as him, and there's no way to feel any sympathy for Adrian Pierce because he constantly makes the most boneheaded decisions that constantly put his own family in danger that he ostensibly cares about, and yet continues to go down roads that are not justifiable in any meaningful capacity. He's constantly surrounded by tons of horrible people. He's getting into gunfights that don't make any sense because they try and get away with having Adrian Pierce as an everyman. You know, sort of. He can. You can sympathize with him. He looks like you. He's white. You can sympathize with him. And
Good God.
Yet he constantly finds himself as an ace gunfighter, as an ace hacker, speaking in gravelly voices, and associating with like all of these like really shady characters. But they just don't. There's no way to believe it. He really just does seem like you're watching like Kick-Ass, where you're at least like in Kick-Ass, yeah, eventually they become like pretty decent, like vigilante superheroes. But like, if there's a version of Kick-Ass where it's just the shitty superheroes that don't quite make it, like they're not any good at like Mystery Men. You know what? Adrian Pierce seems like a reject from Mystery Men. But then they just tried to make it work, and they just give him a bunch of like, a super cell phone that can allow him to do things. He really feels like he should have just been in Mystery Men, and you cannot take him seriously, which makes hard to take any of the stories seriously at all. And the open world really just feels like there are icons everywhere.
Oh God,
I don't know what any of them really do. I have no interest in doing a AR game where Adrian Pierce collects icons on the map. It's just a really boring game. It seems like the Watch Dogs team had a cool idea, then built it in the Ubisoft open world template, but didn't necessarily know how to build anything out of it. I guess maybe the sequel could be pretty good. I think they have an idea there, but man, I really hope they get rid of Adrian Pierce as quickly as possible. I think actually
It's Aiden Pierce.
Whatever.
Pierce.
Who cares?
Oh my
yeah,
God.
Great. I've played 8
makes it
hours.
so much better.
That's
I know.
how much I've retained.
What if they released voice packs for Aiden Pierce? Because he's such a blank slate. It doesn't really matter who voices him. Like, what if they got Gilbert Gottfried to do Aiden Pierce's
Oh my
voice?
God.
What if they got Snoop Dogg to do a version of Aiden Pierce? Would you buy that? Would you be into that?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
I might believe Snoop Dogg more than the character I'm currently playing.
I would pay for a Gilbert Gottfried voice pack. For
God,
one.
yes. It would be
for any
horrifying.
game. For absolutely any game.
Also, I hope no one thinks I was talking down on Mystery Men. That's a really terrific film, and if you haven't seen it, you should go see it. Mystery Men's a good movie.
I can't remember the last. I think I saw Mystery Men when it was in theaters, and I have never seen it since.
It's a really good movie.
Ben Stiller's in that, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still
The
waiting
Stanley
for
Parable announcer would be also someone,
Yes.
as the chat points out, that I would accept as a replacement in the Watch Dogs.
Aiden Pierce walked down the street.
Yeah, you know what?
Like if he just third person narrated everything he did
If the game got a little bit meta with like,
itself.
hey, this is stupid. Let's just really just get in onto it.
Or like do like a mod that replaces Aiden Pierce with the goat from Goat Simulator.
Fine, anything.
So
the game
it's
takes
just-
itself so seriously, and if you're gonna take yourself seriously, like there's got to be some sort of gravity and weight to the situation, and there's just not. You just don't want to play as this character because he is constantly making the worst decisions possible, and you don't get any agency over that part of it. So you're just constantly watching this idiot bumble his way around Chicago, putting people in jeopardy all the time. It's a game that I think the open world betrays what they want to accomplish in the narrative. So in the open world, you can just go be a jackass. Like I can just go run over civilians. And in this game, the civilians do manage to run away pretty frequently. Like they don't just kind of line up in a row like it feels like they do sometimes in Grand Theft Auto or something like that. But you can constantly just kill civilians, and the missions you're on will have you killing civilians and killing cops and like just all of these unbelievable acts that make no real sense for the character they're portraying in the cutscenes. Like in the cutscenes, they're trying to portray this guy as he's conflicted and he wants to find who killed his niece and why they killed his niece. But then why is he killing all these cops? Like why is he killing all these cops? Like why would you turn off the power in a sports stadium in the middle of a heated game that you know will end up killing lots of people when they're trying to get out of the stadium? And it just doesn't work. It just doesn't work at all. And I guess I'm having trouble knowing that I'm also going to play like another 12 hours of this.
Would you even do that? What are you doing?
Because the Chicago
we just had
part
this conversation.
The
You have
Chicago
one
part
life.
is really fun. Like I
You
really
have
like
one
driving
life.
around Chicago. Like it's 100% worth this fairly crappy game and being able to like go down Lakeshore Drive and see Lake Michigan, and there's just enough sort of iconic little spots that you just don't see your own city in a video game that often. And now I'm really bummed that they'll probably go to a different city as opposed to making a good open world game set in Chicago. And I don't know when the next time someone will want to put a game in Chicago is.
Is there like a fake Wrigley Field in there? Is there a fake Portillo's somewhere? Like, how specific do they get with the landmarks?
I mean, so like if you wanted to actually label everything, like stuff like Portillo's, that would require licensing the
Right.
names to those things, and that gets really expensive. So they have the equivalent of Soldier Field in there, but it's not like there are Chicago Bears logos around. It's
Right.
not called Soldier Field. And it's not a one-to-one recreation either. It's a modified version of Chicago, but you get your landmarks in there, and it works just enough. And that part of it I'm really enjoying. Plus, I haven't unlocked my brother's band's song yet, so like at the very least, I need to play long enough to do that. Like you pick up songs to unlock for the soundtrack by hacking into cell phones on the street, and I guess the Audition is one of those songs. So I need to at least do that before I call it quits on Watch Dogs. But
And then you can sign off.
yeah, I'll probably still beat it though. We've talked about this in the past. I have a bad habit of finishing things I start, which sounds like a really good trait to have, except when it involves bad things.
Yeah. I used to be like that, and then I played Lightning Returns to completion and told myself I would never do it again for a non-review game.
But you'll probably do it, right?
Lightning Returns was pretty bad.
Okay.
It was very bad.
Is that the second one or is that the third one?
That was the third one. That was the
Okay.
the unnecessary trilogy. That I just felt compelled to finish it, and I finished it at 2 a.m. on a Saturday after putting like 30-something hours into it with my roommate and my friend watching me. And as soon as I beat it, I spiked the controller and burst into tears and walked out of the room and like didn't watch the epilogue. I was just like done with it at that point. It's not really great.
Wow,
That
you put in the time and then just couldn't even do that last bit. That's dedication to the fuck it.
I watched the last cutscene on YouTube like a day later because at the moment I couldn't handle it. I half watched it, didn't take it in, was just like, there's minivans and I don't understand, and like I'm done, and just laid on the floor and was like, I'm never doing this again.
There's minivans?
There's minivans in the epilogue. There's like minivans. Like the way that game works is like initially it was supposed to be tied into Versus 13, which is now Final Fantasy 15. Here's the other half of my like stupid lore brain. It's like Lord of the Rings.
Let's also be clear. Let's give if you are going to go into deep Final Fantasy spoilers, at least let's give people a heads up that we're now going to go into Lightning Returns spoiler
No,
territory.
fucking who cares? Just go.
I won't.
No, you can do it. I just want to give people a heads up.
But the whole thing is like the games were supposed to be connected, and Versus 13, which is now 15, the whole premise of that game is this is a fantasy based on reality, and the world that they were using for 15 is more closely based on our world with like that Final Fantasy like magic spin on it. Like there's not as much kooky shit to understand as like the other games.
Are the swords still huge?
The swords are huge, and there's guns, and there's behemoths and flying people and whatever. But there's the epilogue of Lightning Returns, without saying what happens, is supposed to link it to 15, because it sort of links to our world, and the whole thing is like, this is our world now. And that's no longer valid, and if they do link them, I'm going to throw up everywhere, because I'm so tired of that shit.
Yeah, I couldn't play any of those games. I played maybe 2 hours of Final 17, and then when I was told, no, it gets good at 30 hours, it's like, okay, all right. Even me, the person who will play anything he begins to completion, could not bring myself to do it.
Yeah, you can skip that one. It's definitely not the best.
Are you excited about the new one? The new one looks pretty good.
15?
Yeah.
There's a couple of new ones we're getting. There's 15, and then Type O, which was released for PSP in Japan only several years ago, is being brought to America for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. And that one got really good reviews in Japan and was really well received, so I'm interested to see that. I'm cautiously optimistic about Final Fantasy 15. From what I've seen of the trailers, it looks like it's adopting a more action-oriented combat system, which is what they sort of used for Kingdom Hearts. It's like the open one where instead of like, it's turn-based and you chain attacks, you just have your weapon and you sort of go at it and pick attacks on the fly, and it's all in real time. And I think the series could benefit from moving back into real-time combat. So, but I'm not so sure about the story or about any of that stuff, because that's why people play those games, is for the story. So I'm cautious.
I mean, in truth, we don't really know that much about it at all because
We
they've
know
shown
nothing.
trailers, and that's been about it at this point. Like, they're still ways away from actually unveiling the meat of what that game even is at this point.
Here's a question. Let's get to the heart of the matter.
Okay.
I think ever since Tetsuya Nomura got his gross hands all over the Final Fantasy series, he's ruined everything. How do you feel?
I feel that way as well, because
Yeah!
I do. We're not only watching Final Fantasy sort of spiral into shit.
He's ruined all of Square Enix!
Yeah, and we're watching Kingdom Hearts do the exact same thing. Like, I reviewed the Kingdom Hearts 3DS game, which is the last one that came out, when it came out, and like, that game is garbage. Like, it is hot garbage. They included this like Pokemon element where you like collect these creatures, and there's a mini game where you can like rub them and like give them ice cream, and it's like, I don't fucking want to do that. I want to go kick Disney villains in the face. Like, I don't want, like, this is not what I want. Like, the game also started the series also started taking itself way too seriously after 2, and then released a game for PSP, and then one for PlayStation 2, and then one for the 3DS, and then one for your mobile phones. And it just like, it's like, let's release a game for every platform, make everyone who wants to follow this series have to buy every handheld and every platform or whatever. And just no. I can't anymore. Kingdom Hearts 3 is gonna be, I'm scared. I'm scared for it. The only footage we've seen so far is like the action battle system, and then like theme park rides are now attack, like Disneyland theme park rides.
Yeah.
You can like summon trains and like ride the trains through. I don't know. I'm really upset right now. I don't know if you can
I love
tell.
the concept of the Kingdom Hearts series, and sort of enjoyed the first one.
But 2 was the best one.
It's
2 was
just,
great.
the story just, I have never seen a plot get so far up its own ass and that's really saying something, I think, about video game storytelling, is that the Kingdom Hearts series, I think, is the one that gets so far up its own, like, I just could not stand it. And it bums me out, because the core concept of, Square making an action RPG set within a bunch of Disney universes, like the Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably going to look really gorgeous. And
it'll
I'm
look
going to watch
great.
the trailers and go, yeah, Patrick, remember Kingdom Hearts 2. Remember the end of Kingdom Hearts 2. Remember how much you hated that game.
You hated 2?
The story in 2 just started getting too weird. Like, could not follow it. Too much like weird meta stuff. Like, I enjoy going to the worlds, and I enjoy that part. But the actual storyline of the Kingdom Hearts series, especially the places 2 goes to, I could not stand it. And it's not even like, when I sort of hyperbolically like attribute Nomura as having ruined Square Enix. Like, obviously he hasn't touched everything. Like, the man cannot be in every place at once, ruining every project. But the Nomura era, like, if I just use him as sort of a veneer for Square Enix game development of the last, 10 to 15 years. It's when the company has just gotten so, I think, with almost the only exception being maybe the Kingdom Hearts series, just like so far away from what I originally fell in love with, what that company was making, in the 90s and even the late 80s when they got started, that I just hated character design so much. I do really dislike him.
The big hands and the big feet, like, so weird. I don't know. I thought 2 was okay until 3/4 of the way through, which is when the story started like folding back on itself, and we were like, wait, is this not the end? And then it ended that way, and it was like, fuck, they're going to continue this. I think it's been dragged out, and I think I don't think they respect the series anymore. They see it as like, this is Disney, and people are going to pay us to give us money to do this thing still, and the next one's going to have a Frozen world in it. Like it's a money pit now. It's like a guaranteed money thing for them, and it's sort of really upsetting.
Yeah.
I feel like I went into a fugue state for the last 10 minutes. I don't understand anything that has just been going on. You guys are talking.
Well, now you know how I felt during the Sonic segment.
No, I was in a fugue state during that too. It was just unfortunately I knew what was going on and I couldn't stop it.
I recommend. Okay, if you haven't played 1, Alex, did you play 1?
I played 1 a really long time ago, and I think that game's okay. I think it's again, JRPGs in general aren't very much not my thing, but I liked some pieces of what Kingdom Hearts did. I tried playing 2. I've tried playing a couple of the spin-offs. I would get like a couple hours and be like, this is fucking nonsense. I want nothing to do with any of this.
Yeah, you hit like the Tron world, and you're like riding motorcycles with Tron, and then you're
I fucking love Tron, but why don't I want to play it there? I don't know. I just don't. I don't get it, but I don't.
It's the worst. When they included what was in the last one, that really, really bothered me. I think it was like the Pirates of the Caribbean world, and I just checked out, and I was like, this is not okay anymore. This is no longer okay.
I mean, at a certain point, the Disney branding just becomes so all-consuming because technically there are like at some point the ABC News team is going to be in that game because that's part of Disney brand. You know, it's like
Star Wars, Darth Vader
are going to be in there. It's like Jason Whitlock is going to have a fucking cameo in the next Kingdom Hearts game, and it's like you have to draw a line somewhere, right?
Yeah, no, I did.
Or you don't. Or you don't.
Yeah,
it's going to be a mess. It's going to be like
Nomura does not know how to draw lines.
No.
Well, he knows how to draw belt and zippers, but.
Belts and zippers. But the belts and zippers thing, I think, is actually a holdover from Amano's artwork. I interviewed Amano like a couple years ago, and I asked him, I was like, why are there so many freaking scarves and belts and shit on people? And he was like, well, as a character designer, I was designing sprites, and I couldn't be creative. And then they were like, here, design us a character. And I said, you know what? Fuck it. Scarves everywhere.
Yeah, scarves are cool.
That was literally what he said, except he didn't say fuck it. He said something different, but he was just like, I said, whatever. I'm just going to draw a bunch of shit, and if you don't like it, then you can not use it. And then they ended up using it, and he was like, well, okay. So.
All right, well, let's close this Final Fantasy discussion with one last, the most important question, Alexa. Of the PlayStation 1 era Final Fantasies, which is your favorite? Also, 8 is the right answer.
No, 9.
Oh, you're a 9 fan?
I cosplay from 9. I freaking love 9. 9 is one of my favorite ones.
God.
9's great. 8
9
is so overrated. At least you didn't say 7. I forgive you for not saying 7.
Okay, all right. We can. I like 7, but I think 7 is held up on a pedestal a little.
Yeah.
A nostalgia pedestal, a little too much. But yeah, okay. As long as we both didn't pick 7, then we're okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. We'll talk about this later. 9 is pretty.
Yeah,
great.
I know that could be its own hour-long discussion. I understand. I just wanted to get the main answer out of the way.
Okay.
Alex, what are you up to the rest of this week?
I'm going to be in the office a bunch this week, helping Vinny get stuff set up, doing some more equipment shopping, and just kind of getting everything together. I don't know exactly when we're going to start recording stuff. I know Vinny wants it to be very soon, so I'm guessing hopefully by next week at the absolute latest. We will probably do at least one more video, probably a couple more of like the behind-the-scenes stuff. So look for that sometime in the near future when Vinny can get to a public library and do some video editing. That's kind of what I got coming up right now. What about all of you? What are you all doing this week?
I don't know, Alexa, you got anything coming up on the old Polygon this week that people should be on the lookout for?
Hot scoops?
Maybe. I'm leaving for San Francisco tomorrow night. I'll be in San Francisco for the rest of the week.
Okay.
But I'm working on something, so I am trying to play MOBAs for the first time.
Interesting.
And I'm sort of writing up, I don't know if it will go up this week or not, but I'm sort of writing, like, keeping a diary of, like, my foray into MOBAs. I think what might go up this week is the one where I played LOL for an hour and cried. Like it's it's learning. I'm trying to work my way up to Dota 2 because there are people
That's
in my
a game.
life. Yeah, there are people in my life that are important to me that play that game, and I can never get in touch with them for long stretches of time because they're playing Dota. So I feel like it's something I should learn. And yeah, it's sort of the struggle to learn how to play MOBA as someone who cannot comprehend the MOBA.
Yeah,
All
no,
I
yeah,
actually-
it's very impenetrable to the outside observer for sure.
All I actually know about League of Legends is that your coworker Emily is constantly asking people on Twitter, "Do you want to play League of Legends?" And it seems like
Play
no one
with her.
ever says
She's
yes.
great. She's so great. Play with Emily. Everyone play with Emily. Play League of Legends with her.
Please,
I
someone
would
go play some League of Legends with her.
I would love to watch Alex play a MOBA.
Nope.
That would be great.
Nope.
Be the best.
Brad can teach us. He said
Alex will never do it. He'll never do it.
I'm willing to be ignorant about certain things. That is one of them.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's see. What do I have on going on this week? I'm not sure yet. I'm probably going to edit together some video review essay of a story about my uncle after I recorded all that footage, and I'm going to use that as an experiment to try and do another video essay on the site. So I'm not sure if I'll do that today or tomorrow, but that'll probably go up sometime this week. As soon as I finish this, I need to format my interview with Machine Games, doing a post-mortem on Wolfenstein: The New Order, which was a really good interview. Guy was super fun to talk to. Talked a lot about the origins of that game, why Wolfenstein can justify being around in 2014 and a bunch of other topics. Then the interview dump truck version of that interview will go up sometime later this week. And I'm sure I'll have some other stuff going on. But that's going to do it for Bomb the Am with Swoops and the Wolf for a Monday. Alexa, thank you so much for infusing some Sonic and some Final Fantasy into this podcast, because it will never come up again unless you're back.
Thank you for having me. I had fun.
Alex, I guess I'll talk to you on Friday? Because, I guess we should say with the schedule that you guys are working out for recording means that the morning show should continue as is going forward, and we'll see if we can rope Vinny into it sometimes. But that guy, he's got ideas, he's got content he wants to make. So
his vision is far bigger than our piddly little show. If we're bringing him in, that's time he could be off, conceptualizing the next big giant bomb thing. So we got to be judicious with how we insert him into this.
Yeah,
stuff.
Vinny is very excited to have free time to pursue some new ideas. So I'm sure we'll drag him in once in a while. But he's off trying some new things with this new stage and the giant bomb expansion. So. Alex, I will see you again on Friday, and Alexa, thanks again for joining us.
Yeah.
Bye.